Thank you, Mr. Ferrara. Thank you. Good morning. Sounds kind of weak. You didn't have a cheers today, did you? You did? All right, well, let's try again. How are you today? Good morning. That's the idea. You know, today is a wonderful day. A wonderful day because we are alive. And not only that we are alive, but we are full of energy, full of pep. I could feel the energy from you that comes out of your youth, comes out of your high levels of influence. Yes, it is a wonderful day today because you're participating in a wonderful program. The program is called Reaching Our Dreams. This program is sponsored by an organization called Save Latin America. Save Latin America vision is to see that every youngster that is in this room throughout the United States, sitting in classrooms today, will become college graduates. We don't want to see any more Hispanics and any more Afro-American kids and any of our kids dropping out of high school. We're very much interested in your education. You know why? Because you are our leaders of tomorrow. The work that we are doing here today, who's going to be doing it tomorrow? You're going to be doing it. But how can you do this kind of work if you're not well educated? Where are our teachers and doctors and school principals and engineers and architects and radio and TV personalities and business administrators? Where are they if you drop out of high school? So you see, maybe we're not doing Mr. Ferrara, Mrs. Rios, and the three wonderful young people here today, Esmeralda, Sid Wilson, and Mr. Peñaranda. Maybe we're not doing this because we're nice people. Maybe we're doing it because we know that the truth is that while you're sitting here today, tomorrow, you'll be leading us, and we're making a good investment by investing time in trying to talk to you about the importance of education as a way to succeed in life. We're going to be talking here about certain truths in life. Those who know the truth learn to love it. You're going to learn some truth about yourself here today. And those who love the truth love to live with it. And the truth is that you have the ability to be whatever it is that you want to be in life. How many of you have dreams? Terrific. Terrific. That's very important to have dreams. But it's not just to have dreams and not think about it. Dreams are something that you constantly work with. The truth of the matter is that you could accomplish anything that you want to accomplish in life. How many of you would like to be doctors? Terrific. How many of you would like to be school teachers? Okay, let me run this one by you again. How many of you like to be school teachers? Let's give them a big hand. Stand up and let's give them a big hand. They want to be school teachers. Terrific. All right, now let me tell you something. Being school teacher is one of the most rewarding jobs you could ever have. You know, every time I walk certain neighborhoods with certain teachers, I'm sure that if Mr. Ferrara walks the streets of God, because what happened is that these teachers, at one time in their lives, they were sitting exactly where you're sitting today. Then they went to further in their education, and they passed exams, and they graduated high school, and then they graduated college, and then they took the masters, and then they kept on passing test up, and they wrote a lot of essays, a lot of papers. Now they spend the rest of their lives passing on to others what it cost them a lot of work and sacrifice. And isn't that beautiful? You could help mold the life of other people. So to be a teacher is a wonderful thing. Now, you're going to hear 3 people today. These youngsters are going to tell you about some of the ups and downs of their lives. The 3 Hispanics. One comes from the origin of Mr. Peñaranda. His country of origin is Peru, although he was born in. His father comes from Peru. Then we have Sid Wilson from Dominican Republic. And then we have Esmeralda Cameron from Puerto Rico. And they are Hispanic professionals. And they all graduated college. But you know what? It wasn't easy for them because they were Hispanics. But you know what? They did not give up. They were persistent. And they know that they had, like everybody else, they had this opportunity. They just have to work at it. Now, pay close attention to what they have to tell you, and tell you why. Hard work pays off. They're going to tell you this, some experience of their lives. You're going to be asked to write an essay. We want to know what impact they have upon you. And I know you really love to write essays, don't you? You do? You want to be a lawyer? Take him. He wants to be a lawyer, let's give him a big hand. All right. Now, let me tell you something. When I was in school, writing essays, later writing papers, oh my God, that was very hard. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You all are going to write essays. We are going to select the 3 best essays of the whole bundle. And then the authors of those 3 essays are going to be invited for dinner with your parents, with your teachers, and you are going to be receiving that night, it's going to be your night, going to be receiving a plaque. So it's going to be a wonderful night. So make sure that you pay attention to our speakers, because you're going to write the first essay. Let me ask you a question. Can I see the hands of the people that I'm going to be invited for dinner on January? Hey, I love that. Very good. You see that? You should be proud of them. Very good. I like that. Well, so because I know you're really now ready to go. have last year? Who did we invite to dinner last year? You? You were invited to dinner last year? You stand up? What is your name, dear? What happened at dinner? You were invited and your parents came with you, right? And you had a good time? And you received a plaque? You received a plaque? And where is your plaque? At home. And you were very proud? And mommy and dad were very proud of you? Your brother was very proud of you? See, this is what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So, I'd like to invite to the microphone, and I'm going to break the program. I'm going to start with a young lady because we said ladies are first, right? Okay. Esmeralda Cameron is a young lady whose parents come from Puerto Rico. Going to tell you something about herself, but let me advance the fact that she is a lovely young lady. She works Channel 9. She's got a big responsibility. And let me tell you, she also has the most beautiful eyes. Let's give a big hand to Esmeralda Cameron.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Buenos dias. I'm so happy to be here today. And you know, every time Mr. Johnny Torres invites me, he says, Esmeralda, would you like to speak to the children at PS 26? I'm like, of course, Johnny. Because I know that I'm here and going to speak to 27. I'm sorry, PS 27. Yes, now, how many of you watch Channel 9? Okay, I asked you. And WWF, we have rock bands here. Alright, that's all late, and I don't produce that programming. Today I'm going to tell you about what it's like to become a television producer. And some of you are wondering what it's like to be a television producer. And I have to start off going back to when I was your age. When I was in the 6th grade. We have 6th graders here? 7th graders? Okay, good. So I'm getting here at the right time. When I was younger, I always had these dreams, you know, wondering I want to be a teacher, a marine biologist, I want to be an actress. You know, some of you are going through this right now wondering what do I want to be when I grow up. You know, some of you already know, like this gentleman is going to be a lawyer. I might have you on a show one day. And, you know, we all have our goals, and then finally I decided, you know, what is it that I want to be? I want to learn about everything. I want to meet new people. You know, I just love learning about everything. And then I decided I want to be in television, and I want to be a journalist. A journalist is a reporter, producer, someone who's gathering the news. So I'm always up to date with what's happening. So in 6th grade, my teacher, Mrs. Strider, gave me an assignment. She says, Esmeralda, I want you to watch the news and make believe you're a television broadcaster. I'm like, that sounds great. So Reg Wells at the time, and I did the assignment, and then I said, and now here's Vern Jones with sports. And right there, everyone in the class was like, Esmeralda, you're great at this. You should go into television, become a television reporter. And I was like, that's what I want to be. I mean, I want to work in television. So from there, what I did was, I drew a little picture, I wrote my goals down, you know, and fortunately, I had a lot of support at home. And if you don't, there's a lot of teachers, and you can always find positive energy. That's why I advise you to always stay away from the negative and try to find a positive, nurturing environment. Your teachers are always so helpful. My teachers were very helpful too. And that's what helped me to find out the career goal that I wanted to have. So I went to college, went to Rutgers University, did the college radio, and it was like every 5 years, I kept writing down what my goal was going to be. And that's why it's so important for me to be here today to speak to you about my life experience, because hopefully it's going to help to guide you in the right direction to success. Because the road to success is never easy. It's a long road, and sometimes you're thinking, well, maybe I can take the easy road. And there is an easy road, because every step of the way you have to be accountable for your actions, and you have to be responsible. And you have to be goal-oriented, because that's what's going to lead you to success. So I went to college, majored in broadcast journalism in Spanish. From college, I was thinking, now what am I going to do? I was lifeguarding in a pool, and I was trying to get my reel together, because in television you have to have a reel, which is basically your resume with all the video that you've done, and you on camera. So then, graduated from college, finally I had my big break. When I graduated from college, I wrote a note that in 5 years I was going to be on air, and I was going to be using my Spanish-speaking skills. I was going to be working in the community, and hopefully it would be something where I could give back to the community and continue to educate people about the issues in their community. So I graduated from college, worked at Lifetime for a while, did a couple of jobs. Finally, I had my big break, and that was working for Cablevision. So you see, the day that I wrote my goal on the paper, 5 years after that, my first dream came true. I reached my first dream. And that was, I had an opportunity to be a Spanish language reporter for Cablevision, which was in Hudson County and Athabasca County. And it was great. I was in the community, I was reporting in Spanish, and it was tough, because my first language was English, and I had to study for 8 years. I studied Spanish, learning how to read it and write it, because it's not my first language. And a lot of people told me, Esmeralda, it's tough to get into journalism, you're not going to be a reporter. And I said, you know what, that's negative energy, and I'm going to make it. And then I had the program for 5 years. And what's interesting is, you may not realize it's now, but many of the adults, many of the teachers, people are watching you, and they're watching how you progress. And there were people who were watching me, and they were saying, Esmeralda, we like what you're doing in the community. And one day I received a letter in the mail from Channel 9. And they were watching my programming, and they saw what I was doing, and they were impressed. And they said, you know what, this is someone that we want to work for our station. And mind you, this is after working, in the business for a while. Someone finally said, this is someone who we appreciate, someone who we want to come over to our team. So I didn't really apply for the job. They just said, no, we want you, do you want to work with us? And I was like, yes. And then they made me responsible for producing 3 half-hour shows. Hispanic Horizons, Black Experience, and Garden State Matters, which is what I'm doing today. And you're probably wondering, do the goals stop there? No, because remember I told you that when I graduated from college, I wrote a list, and my goal was in 5 years I was going to be on air? Remember that? Okay, well when I got the job as a reporter, I'm like, great, my first dream is accomplished. What's my next goal? My next goal is, from this local cable station, in 5 years, I want to work, or if I could in 3 years, the next place I'm going to move to is going to be UPN 9, which is one of my favorite stations, or Fox 5. So what happened is, the day that I said, yes, I'm going to take the job at Channel 9, which was 5 years after I had the job at Cablevision, guess what? My company was taken over by the company that owns Fox 5. So it was almost like a premonition of what the future was. Here I was saying I was going to be a reporter. I became a reporter. In 5 years I said I was going to work for Channel 9 or Fox 5, and now I work for the 2 companies. Isn't that something? Yeah. So dreams do come true. That's why I'm here today to tell you that I'm a testimony of what can happen if you're goal-oriented and you stay focused on what you're doing. And you probably wonder, what's going on? Do you have other goals? Were there a lot of obstacles that you faced? And yes, when I was your age, I grew up in Jersey City. I could hang out on the street. Where gangs were still a problem, school violence, a lot of the issues that we're dealing with today. A lot of my friends, you come from different homes, different backgrounds. If you're trying to learn the language, there are a lot of obstacles that you face. But it's not the obstacles. It's how you deal with the obstacles that make you a better person. So don't let those obstacles get in your way. Because every time I was feeling low, you know what I did? I looked at my paper that I had there, all my goals down, and I stayed focused and I said, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. And now, it's been hard. Being a Latina, especially in television journalism, I'm one of the youngest persons right now, actually females in management, who are making decisions as to what news programs we're going to do, what's going to be on the air. And remember I told you about Reg Wells, the person who I was imitating when I was your age on television? Well, when I got the job at Channel 9, I ended up becoming his producer, which means that as a producer, do some of you know what a producer does in television? We're the person that decides the concept. We're the person that writes the script. We do all the research, we get the guests on. And a lot of times, I have kids on my show, because I know that what you have to say is very important too. How many of you are concerned about things in your school, things that are going on at home, right? Everybody is concerned about what's going around in the world. You know, so you have issues too, and that's part of my job. So one of the things that I want to leave with today, there's 3 things that I want you to do for me. When you go home, how many of you have a dream? How many of you know what you want to be when you grow up? Good, that's great. Mr. Torres, you have a wonderful group here. Wonderful group. Now, what I want you to do is when you go home, I want you to write a list of your goals, okay? And no shortcuts, okay? No shortcuts. If you want to be a lawyer, you put that at your goal on your list. But before that, you have to go to college and you have to go to law school. Well, first you have to go to high school, then college, then law school, okay? So you have to go through that progression and don't give up. And if you get sidetracked, look at that paper and stick with it, okay? After that, you have to remember to be accountable for your actions. And it all starts with even if when you get that first job. And right now you might think, oh, you know, Esmeralda, you may not see her ever again, but you never know. I might follow you, or I might keep track of who you are, or I might see you later on, or you might meet me and say, hey, you came to my grammar school one time, do you remember me? And you're looking for a job in television, or maybe it's some other career, and you're at an event and then you're connecting with people. Even your teachers are such wonderful guidance and support. You know, so always keep yourself accountable for your actions. You have to be responsible for your own actions. And a lot of times, I'm in a position now where I hire people. You know, and if we have someone who makes a mistake, and they don't say, oh, it wasn't my fault, it was someone else's fault. You know, I fire people because of that. Because you have to be accountable for your actions. And that's where you will gain your greatest respect as a leader. The third thing, which is very important, you're probably hearing this now, financial literacy. I want all of you, you know, even the North Museum has a great program where you can go with your parents or your family, you know, or they have a great program that's called Once Upon a Dime, the world of money. And it's interesting because it teaches you about how money works and literacy. And let me tell you, there are a lot of things that I know now that I'm 32, that I did when I was your age. There's so many things today that count, depending on your credit history, you know, when you get that first job, you know, or whatever happens, there's an opportunity, you want to go on a trip to do something. There's so many things that depend on your financial background. So that's another part of your homework. Okay, so I'm going to go through it again so you guys don't forget. Remember to write your list of your goals, your dreams, because you can reach your dreams. And remember that if you want success, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard sometimes, but you got to stick with the path of success. And keep positive energy around you. The second thing, be accountable for your actions. Because you are your own person, and it's not the obstacles, but how you handle them. The third thing is financial literacy. You want to make yourself, empower yourself by knowing how you're going to socially and economically be in control of your life. So no one can dictate to you what it is that you're going to do. And I hope that today, what I've told you today, will help you stay on the road to success. And I want to also remind you, don't reach for the sky, reach for the stars, because that's where all your dreams are going to be. And every time one dream is fulfilled, keep going. Because the way you can find a person who's truly successful is that person always has goals. But that person has a goal that they always follow through with. Don't start something that you're not going to finish, because it will follow you forever. Thank you.
Let's hear you very hard around the camera. Very hard. Okay, very, very interesting. Narada said that you have to be goal-oriented. She says, no matter how much goal-oriented you are, no matter how well prepared you are bound to find obstacles in your way. We all do. But you know what? That's where you have to be strong, and that's where you have to make sure that nothing is going to deter you. Nothing is going to make you change your mind. This young man wants to be a lawyer. He should put that in his mind and work for it. Set up, that list that she gave at the end, I think is terrific. Write a list of the things you have to do, the things you want to accomplish. Be accountable for your actions. That's very important. We have a tendency to blame the fact that we are Hispanic, that we are Afro-American. Well, let me put it this way, ladies and gentlemen. The truth is that the color of your skin, nor your country of origin, should be an impediment for you to dream and to make your dreams come true. So long that you are accountable for your actions, you know now that you have the responsibility of doing the things you want to do to accomplish whatever it is that you're dreaming about. Don't blame the government, don't blame the neighborhood, don't blame the friends, don't say he seduced me to go into doing things that I'm not proud of. Nobody seduced you if you don't want to be seduced. You are responsible for your actions. You are responsible for the choices you do in life. Life is about choices. I'm talking about choices. There is a young lad, his name is C. Wilson, come from Dominican Republic, worked very hard despite the fact that he is very young. He is now the president of a big Dominican organization called Dominican American National Roundtable. He was the vice president, but he is now the president. He is also the vice president of Dominicans on Wall Street. Let's give Mr. Wilson a big hand.
Good morning. Good morning. Porque latinos out there, buenos días. Buenos días. Wow. Well, before I get started, let me do one thing. Because I know one thing that I remember when I was in 6th and 7th grade was sitting down in an assembly just like this, and you sit down for a while, you get a little tired and all stuff. So we just get you guys energy. So everybody stand up. Everybody up. Okay. Go like this, stretch out a little bit. Go left, right. Alright. Alright, everybody sit down. I know how much, there were times when I was 7th grade, I said, man, I just need to stand up for just a quick second. So does that feel better? Yeah. Good. Someone said no. You need some more stretching? All right, in a minute. Well, first let me tell you, my name is Sid Wilson. Now, you will look at a name like that and say, is this guy Latino? Not really. But I'm very Latino, I'm Dominican. Maronero. How many people have been to the Dominican Republic before? How many have been to the Dominican Republic before? Anybody? All right. What about a couple people? All right. Well, just a little bit about me, and then I want to talk a little more about you, because this assembly is about all of you. I grew up in went to public schools, just like all of you, and I had a dream and a vision. I saw a movie. How many of you guys like to watch movies? Okay. Now, here's the funny thing. How many of you have decided what you want to do in life based on a movie or a TV show you saw? In other words, you saw something on a movie, you saw a celebrity, you saw someone on TV, and you decided, I want to be like that person. Well, that's actually what happened with me. I saw a movie called Wall Street. A movie called Wall Street with Charlie Sheen, the actor. And it was a story about a person who worked at the New York Stock Exchange as a financial analyst. And he lived an amazing life, had a big penthouse suite in New York City, paid millions of dollars, went around in limousines like it was, you know, like he had his own car. And I said, I want to be like that. So I took the initiative to write down my goals. And there were a lot of people that said, well, there aren't that many minorities there. There aren't that many African Americans. There aren't many Latinos. There aren't even that many Asians on Wall Street. But I made the decision that I was not going to let that get in my way. So I put the plan together, and I was in high school, by the way, so I wasn't that much older than where you guys are now. And I made a decision that A, I was going to go to college and get my degree. And B, I was going to put down a plan in terms of how I was going to work on Wall Street. So within 1 year of graduating college, I got a job working on Wall Street. And today I am a vice president on Wall Street. I command an income that's pretty nice. I can't say how much it is because the IRS will come after me. But the point is, though, is that I decided to seek a goal and reach for it. And there were some that said, you can't do that. And I made the decision that, yes, I can. Que si yo puedo. And to this day, I've done very well at a pretty young age, and I have many more years to go. But the best part about the success that I've had on Wall Street is that it gives me a chance to come to schools like PS27, is that right? Yeah. All right. PS27 to talk to all of you, because it wasn't that long ago that I was 7th grade myself. It feels like a long time ago, but it really wasn't. And I remember some of the things that were going on in 7th grade. How many of you play sports? A lot of people. Now, here's the question. For those of you that play sports, your object is to win the game, right? It's you versus your opponent. You're on your team, and there's the other team. Now, when you're on that basketball court, or that baseball field, or the volleyball court, or the soccer field, whichever sport it is, are you not determined to win that game? Well, what if we took that exact same mentality, whether it was Little League baseball or basketball, and you applied that towards school, and it's you versus the outside, who may not always believe in your abilities. And your response is, that's the opponent, but my job is to win this game. I choose to play the game of life and to win that game. And there are opponents that are out there that will tell you that you can't do it. But I'm here to tell you, as proof, standing in front of you, that yes, you can do it. And if you took the same mentality and applied that to your grades, well, first of all, let me back up. How many of you have good grades? Everyone's hands should stand up. How many of you want to have good grades? Want to have good grades? Great grades, actually. A's. Maybe a few B's. No C's, but A's. Now, to make a long story short, if you apply, I see some basketball players here. Would you guys, what's your name? Brian? Basketball player? Baseball player? All right, well, tell you what, I'm gonna come back to you guys in a minute. You're a baseball player. What position? Outfielder? All right, stand up a second. Give a big hand for Brian. Now, what happens to everything? Just take a quick second. I'm going to use you, Brian, as an example. Brian, when you're playing shortstop, is this Little League Baseball? Okay, so how old are you? 12 years old. This is your last year for Little League Baseball, right? Because that's like you made group, right? Now, did you watch the Little League All-Star, the Little League World Series? Those were great kids. Television, fame, fortune, maybe later on. Now, imagine. Now, what would you have to do to be just as good as one of those kids that made a Little League World Series? Practice. That's exactly the answer I'm looking for. He said practice, and you're good to practice, aren't you? Now, what if you took the exact same determination for Little League Baseball and said, you know what? My goal is to get all A's this year. How's that sound? Can you do that? Now watch this. I want you to go back to the stage. Just go back upstairs to the stage area. I'm gonna show you an example of what happens when good things happen. I'm gonna use Brian, right? I'm getting there. All right. Actually, go behind the stage. I'm gonna call you out. Now watch this. I want to do things. Let's say he actually does take that same mentality, that shortstop mentality of being on ABC or UPN or anything else on TV and you're seen by millions of people. But this time, instead, I'm going to make an announcement. And here's my announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring out our next speaker, our next presenter. He's a shortstop for Little League Baseball. And he used his fame and his prestige to give back to his community, to give back to the school, to represent PS27. Because he took his shortstop mentality and used it to be an effective student, an effective student. And now he's ready to be an outstanding professional, getting ready to go to college. Ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause for Brian! Now, Brian, how does it feel to have all A's? It feels good, right? Everyone wants to be like Brian, right? No? No, huh? Well, you have a good point. What's your name? Absolutely. What's your name? Pauline? Pauline. Pauline, come here for a second, too. You gotta come quickly. I have like 2 more minutes, and we gotta go on to the next speaker. Now, Pauline, you said something great. You said I want to be... She said like myself, and she mentions a key point because I'm going to leave you on this note. The people that are themselves, that act like themselves, that are not afraid to be a leader, often are the ones who will pave the way for this country's future. Whether it's a shortstop or actually, what do you want to do? You want to be a lawyer. Lawyers these days are very famous, especially when we're representing very famous people, right? Lawyers, by the way, they do very well, make a lot of money, and most importantly, many of them also become elected officials, presidents sometimes. Absolutely. So let me leave you on this note, is that you should set your goals high. Set your goals very high. Because when you set your goals high, you will be amazed at how many people follow your lead and in many cases want to be around you. When you set goals that are, in many cases, almost crazy, but achievable, you'll be amazed what happens when people, even adults, come and see you and say, you know what? That's an example of someone who's outstanding. And I gave a Little League example because I know that you probably watched the Little League World Series, and those were 12-year-old kids on TV in front of over 30 million people. Television interviews, and all these other great things that happen. And I think that's an example of being outstanding. And if you take that same mentality towards your grades, you'll be amazed at what will happen to you as you start going through college and getting out of college, and then you're going to come back here and be the pride and joy of PS27, where they invite you back here to be one of the speakers here and talk about how you were once a 7th grader here, and now you're a very successful person contributing to our community here in Patterson. Just as I have working on Wall Street. I'm now the president of the Dominican American National Roundtable. It's the largest organization in the country. I've been to the White House 2 times this year, invited by First Lady Laura Bush. I've been to the governor's mansions in New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Florida. Thank you. And I don't say that to impress you, I just say it to impress upon you that if I can do this, and I was just like you, then so can you. I want to thank you all for your time. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And thank you all for volunteers.
Very good. Let's give it very hard. Let's hear it from Mr. Wilson. Terrific. You know, I like when Mr. Wilson said that this is like a team of life. You're a team, the rest of the world is the other team. And they may not believe in you. They may not believe in you, so what? Who cares who doesn't believe in you? So long that you believe in yourself. See, that is where it's at. When you believe in yourself, and you think many people years ago predicted what Mr. Wilson was going to be in his adult life? No, many people try to shut him down. Same thing to Esmeralda. I'm sure the same thing happened to Mrs. Rios. I think the same thing happened to Mr. Ferrara. And all the teachers here went all through very difficult times. But they believe in themselves. So you must believe in nothing but yourself. If you believe in yourself, who cares what I tell you? I may tell you I don't think you have it. I think that you're a Hispanic, you're an Afro-American. No, I don't think you could be a lawyer. I don't think you could be a doctor. I don't think you could be an engineer. Nonsense. Nonsense. If you think you can, you can. Como dijo Mr. Wilson, sí se puede. Well, how many are here from Peru? Any? Peru? Peru? Terrific. Terrific. I am talking to Mr. Gus Peñaranda Jr., whose parents come from Peru. And I was telling him that during the days of the Hispanic heritage, I was talking to a group where there was a few Peruvians, and they were very, very surprised when I told them that in 1773, Juan de la Bodega y Cuadra, born in Peru, and educated in Spain, came to the United States as an explorer, and he made a trip to Nootka Bay, and he discovered what today is Vancouver Island. A Peruvian did that, and we Hispanics don't seem to know our history when as it relates to the development of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, this young man is a businessman. He also works with the city as a consultant, I think, with the city administration of Patterson. Mr. Augusto Peñaranda runs what is the coordinator of a political action committee, and he is also a businessman. Let's give this young lad a big hand. This good-looking young lad.
Good morning. Good morning. A little bit more. Good morning. Good morning. Guess what? I'm the last speaker. No one else lining up. Anyway, this is the first time that I'm speaking here at PS 27, but I've spoken to a lot of kids throughout the state of New Jersey. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you my story, because I know a lot of you watch MTV. Yes. Raise your hand if you watch MTV. What's your favorite show? The Crib or whatever it is? There you go, that's it. When I was growing up, there was no MTV. When I was growing up, I had Gilligan's Island, I had I Love Lucy, Brady Bunch, that type of stuff. I found out something interesting. If I can have your attention for a few more minutes. When I was in school, when I was in 7th grade, I had a teacher called Charles Walker from Public School Number 5, and he made a very good point. He said, some of you are going to grow up and you're going to be in a position to help other people, especially children, because we're going to be adults, we're going to experience life, and you have an opportunity to give back to the community, whatever community you're in, whether it's where you grew up, or where you lived, or where you migrated to when you got married, or where you went to if your job transferred you there. And a lot of things that people think about is, what am I going to talk about? What do I tell these kids? You know, they're going to have 1,000 questions. I mean, I'm not a good public speaker. What do I do? And he said, you know what? Tell your story. That's all you have to do. Kids nowadays are very intelligent. They have the internet. They watch unbelievable, incredibly dynamic television shows. Things that we didn't have when we were kids. I mean, how many of you play records on a record player nowadays? So we still have some. All right, do you remember 45s, the little ones? How about 8-track tapes? Okay. How about CDs, MP3s, DVDs? There you go, see? Kids today, you guys are more sophisticated and intelligent than we were when we were younger. So he said, tell your story. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you my story. I was born, raised, and educated here in the city of Patterson. I went to Memorial Day Nursery School on Grant Street. I went to Dale Avenue School on Ward Street. I went to school number 14, school number 5, and then I went to Kennedy and I was transferred to Passaic County Tech. That is my entire educational career in the city of Patterson. And just like you're sitting there, we used to have the same assemblies and people would come in and say, I'm going to get you energized, I'm going to get you ready for the future, you're going to pick your goals. And all I'm thinking about is, I'm hungry, I want lunch, this is boring, I'm tired, they made me do this, and now I got to write a report on it, what's going on? Let me tell you something. Once in a while, you meet people in your life, and they tell you their life story, like I've met. And you're like, wow. People like, right now, if you watch the news, kids that are going to school in Iraq that survived the war. People in South America that are suffering after a massive hurricane washes their houses away. Right here, people that have suffered losses because of gang fights, malnutrition, disease. This is the world. This is reality. This is real TV. So, no, go ahead. Oh, okay. You'll be here in a few years. So what's happening is, I was born here in Mill Street. My parents were very poor. They came from Peru. They came back in 1954. And they met here and they got married. Yes, 1954, long time ago, before they had electricity. So what happened is they met each other, they got married, and I was born. They didn't have a lot of money.
They put me in public school, like I said, and I learned. I learned my ABCs, 1, 2, 3, social science, history, mathematics, algebra, all the stuff that you guys love. And I'm supposed to say it, no. It's what you learn, the traditional curriculum. But something started to happen when I started getting older and getting ready to go to high school. A lot of things that I was learning, I'm like, it wasn't enough for me, or what am I going to do with this? Where am I going to go? What do I want to do? Which are the questions that a lot of you are having right now. What do I want to do? I mean, I see that my mom and my dad work 20 hours a day, or have 2 jobs. I mean, is that true? Raise your hand. How many parents work 2 jobs, or do you know your parents work a lot of hours? It's true, right? You've got a mortgage to pay. You've got to pay for your school clothes, your school books, and everything. It's expensive. This is life. This is real TV. This is reality. So what happens is that my parents did one thing with me and my sisters. I have 2 sisters. They pushed us. They're like, it's a free public education, make the most of it. Listen to everything that they tell you. I mean, they know I hated homework. I wanted to run home and watch Gilligan's Island, Garfield, the Super Friends. I wanted to watch television. That's what I wanted to do, watch television. But they said, no, give us an hour. Give us an hour, do your homework. They would check it over. And then you would watch television, go out and hang out with your friends, go get dirty, play baseball, play soccer, play basketball. That's what they let me do. Because remember, I know you guys are are hearing a lot every year, you have to go to college, you have to, plan your goals, plan your future. Never forget to be a kid. Because I'll tell you right now, a lot of you guys, and I'm not going to ask for anybody to raise their hands, but a lot of you guys, just like when I was in school, are going through some stuff at home. Because everybody has a story, like I said at the beginning. We all have a story. Some of us come from divorced parents, some of us are being raised by grandparents. This is reality. This is today, the 21st century. But that shouldn't stop you from being whatever it is you want to be. So I made it through elementary school. I was a BC student. I wasn't a straight A student. Then I went to Passaic County Tech when I was in high school. I was 4'9" in high school. I was one of the shortest guys in high school. I was like this. So right away you know that, something's not right. But added to this is, and I was embarrassed about this when I was younger. I was embarrassed about this, is the fact that my parents didn't have money. I couldn't afford back then the Adidas shell top, the Puma suede, or whatever was in style. I had to get whatever sneakers my parents could afford. I would wear whatever jeans they could afford to buy me. Was I upset? Yeah, because there were other kids that had, that had nice Lee jeans back then with the pre-crease in the center and everything going on. This was the style. They were $40. My parents couldn't afford it. Every night I would come home, and my mom would come home, my dad would come home, we'd eat, and they'd go back to sleep because they had to get up at 5 in the morning to go back to work. I barely saw them. It was my sisters and myself. That was life for me. But I did it. I went to high school. I would walk every day 4 or 5 blocks uphill to take the bus, and the bus would take me over to Passaic County Tech. And I would sit there, and I would do my work. I hated it. I couldn't do it. I thought I was dumb because I didn't understand pre-calculus. I didn't understand, fractions and equilateral and whatever. It was driving me nuts. But you know what? I didn't quit. I didn't quit because my parents always kept reminding me before I went to sleep. Look at us. We came here for a better life. We are working 2 jobs, doing our best to keep a roof over your head, to keep your bellies full, and keep you clothes on your back. It's not the best, but we're doing it. You've got to do better than us. You've got to do better than us. And my parents, they knew. Back then, they knew Hispanics had a very hard time. Minorities in general had a hard time. Even today. 21st century, even today. You read the newspapers, you see what's going on. You watch the news. But they pushed, and they pushed, and they pushed, and they got me through high school. I was a B- student in high school. But one thing I learned was that if something was missing, my last year in high school, I was a computer major. And I went to my class, I met my teacher, I sat down, there are the desks, there are the chairs, there are the notebook and the chalkboard, no computers. I'm a computer major. Shouldn't I work on a computer?
Yeah.
No computers. I was 16 years old. First time, I actually raised my hand and complained. I'm like, listen, this is public education, but how can we learn about computers if there's no computers? So So all we did in class, every day for the first 3 months of my last year was scribble, and formulas and programs. What am I going to do with this? I need to work on the machine. I want a machine to work on. And that is when it started. That is when I found out what I wanted to do with my life. I went to a Board of Education meeting at the age of 16, and I have a copy of this newspaper. I want you to picture a 5'3" by that time boy with a really funny mustache that you can't shave, but it just grows in a little bit and stuff, shaking in front of the Board of Education, telling them, I go to school here, I'm a computer major, and I don't have a computer to work on. And all of a sudden, everything just opened up. I knew what I wanted to do. I had an idea. I'm going to fight for causes. That's what I want to do. So I graduated high school being known as an activist. Oh yeah, Gus, he's going to, if you need books, if you need crayons, the locker rooms need to be painted, go get Gus, he'll do it for you. So I figured, okay, let me see what I'm going to do. If I'm going to help people, all right, I got to get a college degree, that's the first thing, and I got to make a lot of money. Because realistically, I've learned a really good lesson, money makes the world go round. It's reality. You're wearing what? If you're wearing Nike, Nike's a corporation, they make money. Are you wearing Champion? Are you wearing Levi's? Money makes the world go round. It's a reality of life. Once again, I'm talking about my life, reality here. So what I did is I went to college. I went to William Patterson University right up there. Back then it was William Patterson College, so yes, I am an old man. 34, I'm just kidding. So what happened was, I became a political science major. Right away, everybody's like, oh, boring, what are you going to do? You're not going to do anything, you're going to sit there and read books, and what do you, be a lawyer or be a professor? No, political science teaches us about who we are, where we come from. Because everybody here has a story, like I said, we're all from different places. No one here was part of the original America. We all have a story. We're from South America, we're from Africa, we're from Asia, we're from Europe. We're all from different parts of the world. And we all have a story. So I said, all right, I'll learn political science. It showed me how to understand people, how to understand my community, how to understand what was going on with me going to a school in the #1 country in the world, and there not being a computer for me. This is a reality that I learned. I'm sorry. Do you have a question? I'm sorry. I'll answer. It's all right. It's all right. So this is what's going on with my life. So I'm in college. Now here's the thing, college costs money. It cost me $65 for 1 credit. Each class was 3 credits, and you were supposed to take about 4 to 5 classes a semester for 8 semesters to graduate in 4 years. Well, my parents didn't have money, and I didn't have a scholarship. And let me tell you something. There are a lot of hard choices, but my parents did one of the most unbelievable things, and I love my parents to death. They sold every piece of jewelry that they ever bought, that they ever had, to be able to pay for my first year at William Patterson University. That is an ultimate sacrifice that my parents did. Everything. And they had no choice. They're like, we made a decision that our children come first. And that's what they worked for. And they sent me to college. So what am I going to do? Am I going to go to college and go to the frat parties and hang out and just chill? I did that for a little while until I realized, hey, that's not the right thing to do. My parents sacrificed a lot for me. So I changed. I started college as a C student. I graduated college as a B student. And that's not, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not like when you're in high school or elementary school. Over there, the exams are longer. They scrutinize and go through your work in detail to make sure that everything is correct. But you know what? They're preparing you. They're preparing you for what's out there. So I learned in college that you do want to do better than your parents because that's what they're putting you here for. That's what they're fighting for. And I also learned that life isn't fair. Life isn't fair at all. I sat in the back of my classes for about 3 to 4 weeks every semester writing notes. Just writing notes. And the reason I did that is because as much as my parents sacrificed to get me into college, it still wasn't enough. 1 book for 1 class was $115. It's a reality. How much do your books cost here? Wow. But I was in public school, they were free, and I used to get a whole bunch of them, and I hated carrying them home, but this is what's happening. This is what I had to do. So I would sit in the back of my classroom because I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed because I didn't have the book. After class, I'd run to the library because they have a copy of every book, and I'd check it out, and I'd read the chapter for the next day. Because along with going to school full-time, I had to work. I had to make some sort of money, and I worked at Sports Authority. Who ever heard of Sports Authority? Okay. I worked at Sports Authority. I worked at the Gap. Anybody heard of the Gap? I worked at JCPenney and Sears. All right. So this is what I did to get through school. But as things moved along, and I began working full-time, because that's what I was doing. I was working full-time and going to school full-time. I began to respect the fact that, you know what? Nothing is easy. What my parents did to get me to this point in my life was an extreme sacrifice, and I love them to death. And today, I give them whatever they want. But what I realize is that I didn't want this to happen to my kids. I didn't want this to be the problems that kids that my sisters are having, kids that my friends are having, have to go through. None of you should have to worry about paying $115 for a book. None of you should have to worry about, having enough money to go to college. You should all be able to go to college and study whatever you want, become whatever you want. So I became a political scientist. I graduated with a BA in political science. It took me 6 years instead of 4. Because apparently when you start working, sometimes you fall asleep and you get tired. And instead of suffering, I had to take a semester off in between. But my mother kept pushing me on. Did you register? Did you register? Did you register? Because I was tired. I mean, you work until, 10:30, 11 o'clock when you have a job in retail, and you're like, you have to go home and do a 20-page paper? You can't do it. So I graduated college. So now what did I do with all that information? What did I do with some of the stuff that I just told you about my parents and the sacrifice and sitting in the back of the classroom and not being able to afford books and trying to do my best? I stayed in Patterson because I had the choice to go and leave and teach and work in New York and Manhattan and make $80,000, $90,000 or go to law school. I had all those opportunities because with a college degree it opens a lot of doors. But I said no. I made a promise. I wasn't going to let this happen, or I was going to try not to let this happen to any other child. No one should have to suffer the way I did, the way I saw some other kids who didn't make it, who gave up. So now what I do is I stay in Patterson. I opened up a catering company with a friend of mine. Basically what we do is we cook food, we put it on the table, we get people to decorate, and we get waiters, and they pay us for it. But we do it in different locations. Now, everybody's like, that's not really that exciting. I'm like, well, it is when you do it for MTV. It is when you do it for the MetroStar soccer team. It is when you do it for, the couple of state senators or the governor down in Trenton. Because these are the clients that I was able to get. That's why now as president of Presidential Caterers, that's the name of the company, I've met all these people. And they call me back and I do events for them. In fact, I met with the governor a couple of weeks ago. So I'm like, Governor, we can do this for you, we can do that for you. But at the same time, I take advantage. I'm like, so what are you doing for education? When I talk to the Metro Stars, they're practicing over in Union down in the Parkway South. I'm talking to the Metro Stars about, my staff is giving them lunch. I'm like, so do you have any programs for kids? How many have heard of the soccer program, Score at School with the Metro Stars? Some of you have heard it? Where, you do a special project and you get tickets to a soccer game. Well, I work with School 10 and School 9 and a couple other schools with that program because that's how I'm giving back to the community. I'm using my experience, I'm using my business to give back. But not just to children, because there's another thing that you guys have to understand. In a few years, when you guys are in high school and you decide what you want to do, I'm going to get older, we're all going to get older, but you guys are going to run things. You guys are going to open up your companies. You are the ones that are going to make the decisions. You're going to run for the city council. You're going to be the teachers. You're going to be the doctors, the lawyers. You're going to be the television, newscasters. You're going to be the Wall Street, billionaires. That's what you're going to do. Believe it or not, that's what you are going to do. So I'm trying to make sure that when I'm in my 60s and 70s, retired, hanging out downstairs in Chauncey Street in downtown Patterson having a coffee or a cappuccino, I'm okay with the things that are going on in the city because you guys are going to be running it. I'm going to be okay with what's going on in government because one of you guys may be president. It's reality. It's not a fantasy. It's a reality. You guys have unbelievable opportunities. Now, I made it. For the most part, people say, you made it, Gus. Your parents were poor. They got you through school. You did a good job. You've met a lot of people. I've met Coleman Powell. I've met Newt Gingrich. I've met, a lot of actors and stars on MTV, a lot of soccer stars. You made it, right? This is what you made it. But to myself, I'm like, no. Because as long as there's kids that are going through what I went through, it's not enough for me. I dedicated my life to help people, and that's what I'm going to do. And that's why I'm here today. PS27 was the first school I was asked to talk to, and I'm happy because I've been here before. I've been here before walking around. I know the neighbors. I know a lot of the kids here. And if I can just help one of you just for a minute, just think, I'm like, you know what? No matter how hard it gets, I'm not going to quit school. No matter how hard it gets, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to go to college. If I have to work a job and go to college, guess what? I'm going to do it. Because at the end, when you're successful, you're going to look back, and if you just say, yeah, what was that guy that was 4'9" in 8th grade or whatever? I think his name was Gus or whatever. Yeah, not a bad speech. It's all worth it. You have unbelievable opportunities, guys. Unbelievable. And I just told you a little bit about my story, but it's true. Times are hard, things happen. But don't ever give up. And most of all, don't let anybody sell you out. Don't look to drugs for a quick buck. Don't look for gangs for acceptance. Think before you react. Make the right choices. And even if you make a mistake,